Do you think you changed in the last year? If you have, how so?
I think I've changed a lot in the last year. I've grown. I feel like in all aspects. I think I've grown as a husband. I think, obviously being in this marriage has helped me see a lot of my own flaws that I needed to work on, as far as like maybe childish temper tantrums, as far as like me shutting down, blaming or having this righteous persona, being preachy in the moments that I don't need to be preachy. These are different things that I think about as far as like over the past year that I've changed in, and I think I've changed in a lot of those areas as far as just being a support, because you didn't marry a pastor. You didn't marry me because you need me to be your teacher. You married me because you love me and you want to build with me and grow with me. So I've come to a realization I need to be more of a support. I need to be more of a help. I need to be someone that can hear you out. You can vent to. Everything's not necessarily this big old lesson. Sometimes you just want to talk. So just being a listening ear, being understanding, instead of always correcting all the time. Just being helpful, giving helpful wisdom or helpful advice to where it doesn't seem like I'm correcting, but it's like it's okay. Being encouraging. That's the word I look for. Encouraging. And I've learned to do that. Instead of reflecting on what you need to do better all the time, I got to reflect on what I need to do better. And then when you do mess up, or if you do something that I don't like, right, instead of blaming or you should do this, it's your fault this, I think what we could do is just reflect on ourselves first, fix ourselves, and I think, everything else will start reciprocating. I'll say this, because when I first kind of came to this way of being a Jew, being an Israelite, everything was race. Very zealous, very brash about everything. Everything was just a big deal. I think now with my level of understanding, especially over this past year, and just level of growth, the friend group that we have, I understand that everything is not about color and ethnicity, so to speak, but it's more so about just righteousness and wickedness. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Being right is not connected to a color. Being wrong is not connected to a color, but it's just connected to, those who love God and want to do His will. That's what makes somebody right. So I think I've changed a lot in that aspect too, where I've become more balanced in my spiritual life. I feel like I've become more balanced in my spiritual life. I feel like I've become more balanced within the household, with being a husband and, being a father and stuff. So, yeah, it's a long answer.
Right. Do I think I changed in the past year? I definitely feel like I changed in the past year. A lot has gone on in the past 12 months for me, especially. It's a lot of things that I celebrated and a lot of things that I had to get through, especially over like and I don't want to say trauma, because I guess I don't think all of it is not trauma, but it's a lot of things that I experienced in undergrad up until this point that I kind of like blocked out of my head, and now I'm just starting to like work through them. Mm-hmm. So I think I've changed. At the same point, I'm like I've stopped just stopping myself from having emotions, or like from processing emotions. I just always was like, it's okay. Like, I don't have to, I'll deal with it in 20 years. Like, when it comes up, I'll deal with it in 20 years. Like, I made myself stop pushing off emotions. And I was kind of really forced to. I didn't want to. But my emotions just got so built up that they just came out. And, like, I would just cry. So, I think I changed from the standpoint of I'm becoming more emotionally mature. Mm. And, like, starting to deal with things that I didn't want to deal with. Yeah. That I was just going to tell myself I wasn't going to deal with no more. I just wasn't gonna talk about it. And if somebody brought it up, like, I would give a short answer and just move on. Like, I wasn't gonna actually try to process the emotions. But then things just started happening. I was like, I have to process the emotions to move forward. I think so I changed in that way in the positive. But on the flip side of that, with processing emotions, it made me a lot more anxious. And, like, I have worse anxiety now than I think I ever did. Mm-hmm. And then imposter syndrome, which we talked about a little bit at the beginning. Like, that has been an issue for several years. But I just would always push it off. Like, I could always suppress my anxiety and suppress my imposter syndrome. And I got to the point where I couldn't anymore. So I think I've changed by becoming more emotionally mature and having a desire to process my emotions and process things that I've gone through and experiences I've had. But on the flip side, in order to get to that place, I don't say I had to, but in order to get to a place where I got fed up with, like, not processing my emotions, it made my anxiety really bad. And, like, my imposter syndrome really bad. Mm-hmm. So I changed for the better. But in other ways, I got worse in the past year. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just from the life changes, too. Like, going through finishing pharmacy school was a highlight of my life. But then what comes along with switching, like, okay, I no longer have this safety net. Like, I'm still in school, but my, I guess, role in school has changed, where I feel like it's heightened. Mm-hmm. Like, the level of, like, importance, or, I don't want to say importance, but it's more on me. Like, it's more so, like, your success in a PhD program is solely on how productive you can be. I can't skirt past. Like, obviously, nobody skirts past in any professional school. But, like, I just can't ride the wave. If I want to graduate from the PhD program, I have to put in the work. I just can't, like, slide under the radar. And I don't think I slid under the radar in pharmacy school, but in my mind, I was sliding under the radar in pharmacy school. But now I don't have that ability to slide under the radar in pharmacy school. So my anxiety in a lot of ways, dealing with school, has heightened. But obviously, you don't live in pockets, so that translates over to, I'm not anxious about stuff when it comes to home, but that anxiety that I feel at school comes with me home. Mm-hmm. And me studying for my board exams and not passing on the first try. Like, that anxiety, all that stuff I bring with me. Mm-hmm. So, in ways, I got better this past year. But I was challenged a lot in this past year, too.
Yeah.